The Abbey, certainly in its tombs and monuments, is very much a church of the establishment, the rich, the powerful, the famous. But there's always been an alternative tradition here. In Poets' Corner there are Milton, Shelley and Blake, none of them creatures of the establishment. And here is Charles James Fox, dissolute, a gambler, a Republican, a fighter for the abolition of the slave trade, and a darling of the public, who paid his debts twice over. He is Attlee, Ernest Bevin, and over there Archbishop Juice de Blanc, the opponent of apartheid. All of them in their different ways members of the awkward squad. And were the Abbey run as the country is run, they would not get a mention here. But this, thank God, is an independent place. Conformity will not get you in, nor money, nor bullying. It is indeed a peculiar.
Good. If you'd like the candles then.
Okay.
On the whole, Gerard Manley Hopkins, he was practically mad, wasn't he, honestly? That's a pathetic life.
Do you think so?
Well, he had such a ghastly time with the Roman Catholic Church, you know, because they wouldn't let him write poetry.
I know, but he didn't have to join them, did he?
No, but I think he was a very old man. I mean, I think perhaps there is. Henry James was totally mad at the end. He thought he was Napoleon.
Yes, but
For the last. They were all a bit rather peculiar, really.
Oh, if you
And
examine...
Auden is very peculiar, quite honestly.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you know, I think these June geniuses, they just are a little bit quirky, that's all I say.
But
Eliot, I knew Eliot
Eliot
quite well, and he was so boring.
That's what Virginia Woolf said.
What he was.
He was sort of pinstripe man, wasn't he?
Yes, he really was a pinstripe.
What Virginia Woolf actually said was, "Here comes Tom Elliot in his four-piece suit."
Ladies and gentlemen, may I just have your attention for a moment, particularly those of you who are our visitors this morning. We are about to lay a wreath on the tomb of Alfred, Lord Tennyson. And I know that members of the Tennyson Society would be only too pleased if you wanted to join us here in Poets' Corner.
В 1199 году, используя эти регалии, ампулу и золотую ложку, помазали на царствование Иоанна Безименного, того самого, который подписал Великую Хартию. И вот с тех пор, с 1199 года, эти регалии участвуют в каждой церемонии коронации.
I call on Lord Tennyson to lay the wreath on the tomb of Alfred, Lord Tennyson.
Whoops, wrong grave.
May I just say how enormously proud I am of my dear great-grandfather, the poet. He made so very many people so very happy with his wonderful poems. I want to say also that I am so very proud of the Tennyson Society, who form the major part of this dear congregation. Thank you all for coming, and God bless you all. Well, it's so nice to be here. It's very fair of you to have conducted the operation. Thank you very much.
Long ago, you see, I was Belinda Ritchie, and my grandmother was, Anne Packer Ritchie.
You knew Harold?
Yes. I remember both of you as little boys, ages ago. But fun enough, I've just been to, we go to Freshwater. My grandmother lived at the porch, you know. And now the wonderful thing is that Dimbala is this, oh, of course you know Elizabeth Hutchings, don't you?
Yeah.
So you're going off to have a lunch?
Yes, you're not coming with us?
No, I'm not actually. I'm going to one of my colleagues, his wife has just had a baby, who's been baptised just round the corner. So there's a lunch for the new member of the Abbey family.
Well, that's always exciting, isn't it?
So on this September morning, when in this place of tombs the Abbey family has a new baby, we come to what is the most famous tomb of all. There's not much democracy in the Abbey, which is above all a place of names. Most of them the names of the great and the powerful. But the most famous and the most emulated grave is of someone who has no name at all. The notion of the tomb of an unknown warrior was that of David Railton, an army chaplain in the First War, and it was taken up enthusiastically by the then Dean of Westminster, Dean Ryle, though there were some misgivings in high places. The body was brought from France with elaborate precautions to ensure its anonymity, and buried here just inside the west door on November the 11th, 1920. No one else had ever been buried at this spot, and digging down they came straight away to the sand and gravel of Thorney Island. Then the coffin was put in and filled with soil that had been brought from the various battlefields in France. A precise reversal of the Rupert Brooke poem, "There'll be some corner of a foreign field that will be forever England." The corner of the foreign field is here. The burial itself was not auspicious, crowded as the stone itself is crowded, with obvious dignitaries, and a clutch of those generals and field marshals whose boneheadedness had probably helped to put this soldier in the grave in the first place. But in time, such accretions fell away, and though this is a routine stopping point for heads of state, its associations have always been popular and pacific. The notion of the unknown warrior retaining its power simply because he could be anybody. Unlike the cenotaph, which is just up the road, which is and means an empty tomb, it has come to house our conflicting attitudes to war. The services at the cenotaph under the cold eyes of Earl Haig, somehow seeming to celebrate what they also deplore. The mourning here, though, is unambiguous, and bedded down behind his little hedge, this soldier outranks whoever else is buried here. This is the most honoured grave in the Abbey. All other graves can be walked over, but not his.
And Alan Bennett continues his personal tour of the Abbey tomorrow here on BBC Two at 8 o'clock.
Now this boxing